What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday. Not Wisdom. It is Sports Talk 1051.com. Hopefully, you all had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week with us. Appreciate you making us part of your start this morning. Whether you are listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also online, available online, sportstalk1051.com. Google and Alexa home devices. You got the Sports Talk app. Download it. Take it on the go. Wherever you're at. Video streams also up and rolling. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Again, hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend as we wrap up the month of June here. What do we got on the game plan for us this morning? Brewers dropping a series against the Padres, but they do avoid being swept and have yet to go through a 4-game losing streak at any point this season. It's one positive way to look at it. But the Brewers picking up their only win in this series against the Padres yesterday, 6-2. Tobias Myers picking up his 4th straight win. Rookie Tobias Myers pitching some incredible ball right now. Yesterday, he went 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, struck out a couple over there. Hudson continuing his awesome start to the season. Came in relief, pitched a couple innings, only giving up 1 hit, striking out a couple. But the Brewers, without Contreras in the lineup, it's just an off day there. Without Hoskins, Brewers able to get 14 total hits in that game, thanks to the second inning where they were able to put up a 5 spot right away and put the Padres in a hole there. But Brewers picking up that win yesterday as they return home. Finally, after spending the last 7 days out on the West Coast against the Angels and the Padres, they will return home where the defending champion, Texas Rangers, will be facing them. So that series begins right away tonight. No off day today. Their off day for the Brewers won't be until Thursday. So, but we'll talk some Brewers. We're going to talk a little Contreras. Contreras, I think it's safe to say, going through a little bit of a slump right now. When you look at his numbers, no longer even leads his own team in batting average right now. That honor right now belongs to Bryce Terang, who's sitting at 294. But when you look at the last 30 games or so, I mean, Contreras, 215 on base percentage, 244 slugging, 292. So, I mean, we knew he was probably going to come back down to earth a little bit, right? He was probably going to kind of get back to a little bit of normalcy there, but still overall in the season, 293 on base with 354 OPS, 797, still has those nine dingers over there. But I think it's safe to say Contreras right now is in one of those slumps. And I think we all knew it was bound to happen, right? It was going to happen at some point this season. So he's kind of going through it right now. But we'll talk a little bit about him. We'll talk a little bit about Tobias Myers, another rookie with a fantastic start. As we mentioned, 4 games in a row now that Tobias Myers has picked up the W. So got a poll question up on our Sports Talk Twitter account /X account if you want to partake in that. But, quite a few listeners the last couple of weeks or so have mentioned about the Brewers needing to go out there and maybe sign a guy like Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer, we know, has been out of Major League Baseball for a while, off the field issues, domestic issues. He spent some time in international leagues. Currently, right now, he's pitching in the Mexican League. But we put up a poll question on the Sports Talk Twitter account, knowing it probably wouldn't happen. But would you be okay if the Brewers signed Trevor Bauer for maybe the rest of this season? Would you be okay with that? Would you be good with that? Or maybe you just don't want to deal with the, let's say, added extra attention to it. You don't want to mess with the chemistry that's with the ball club right now. You don't want to bring some maybe negative attention to the team. Where are you at right now? Where are you at? So you can vote right now on the Twitter page of Sports Talk 1051 at Sports Talk 1051 if you would like to vote in there. So we'll talk some more baseball as we approach the halfway mark. Coming up on Thursday, we'll be 50% of the way through the season here for the Brewers. So uh, currently, right now, 5 games ahead of the Cardinals. 5 games ahead of the Cardinals. Cardinals playing some good ball right now. So maybe kind of creeping a little bit behind the Brewers right now. When you look at the Cardinals, 2 games over 500. So yeah, just 5 total back from the Crew. Cubbies still 8 back there in fourth. Cincinnati 8.5 back. Pittsburgh now moving into that third spot, 7.5 back from the Crew for first place. So we got that. We got a game 7 tonight, baby. Edmonton was able to get it done on Friday, so we've got a game 7 tonight for the Stanley Cup Finals. Edmonton, Florida. Puck drops at 7 p.m. tonight. Oh, man, this is good. I cannot wait. I hope this is a close game. I hope it's not, you know, a blowout either way. I love game 7s, and I love that game when game 7s live up to the hype and it just, I love game 7s. Game 7's best thing in all sports, especially when it's like a championship game 7 where there is no tomorrow, there is no moving on or anything like that. This is it for both of these teams. One will go home with the biggest heartbreak of all heartbreaks in sports. The other will be celebrating for a long, long time and hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup. But I'm excited to take in this game tonight, and I hope it lives up to its billing. I mean, you've got Florida, who jumped out to a 3-0 lead in this series. Edmonton has crawled back to tie it up. We could be talking about some history here if Edmonton picks up that W. But man, I cannot wait for tonight to see the puck drop for this game. So after tonight, we will have a crowned champion for the NHL. NBA wise, I mean, believe it or not, the draft is this week. I know a lot of you probably knew about that already, but the NBA draft is tonight, or not tonight, in a couple days here. So, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest NBA draft guy. Love the NFL draft. The NBA draft, yeah, I'm not. But I do think this is a draft that can be kind of important for the Bucks here, whether they decide to package a couple of those picks and move around and such. It remains to be seen. But we'll give you the latest of what's maybe kind of going on with the Bucks and some of the rumblings and all that sort of stuff, because this, as we know, is a huge offseason for the Bucks. Remember, they hold the 23rd overall pick in the first round, and they've got the 33rd overall pick, early pick in the second round. So maybe some of you have already kind of been looking at some of the mock drafts and all that out there, but we'll kind of go through some of the updates and what's the latest chit chat out there surrounding the Bucks as they get ready for this draft coming up on Wednesday night. It is a weekend hangover, so what are the highs? What are the lows? What is the best? What is the worst? All that good stuff. Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Could be in the sports world, could be something that maybe happened to you over the weekend. We will announce a couple more matchups for our bracket challenge of the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. Ben Sheets defeated Jeff Jenkins to move on from last Friday. Steve Stricker easily defeated Larry Sanders. So you've got BJ Surhoff, you've got Lyle Overbay, you've got Ben Sheets, all moving on in the Brewers region. Al Toon and Kirk Penny moving on in the Badgers region. Paul Kaufman, Lynn Dickey moving on in the Packers region. And then in the Bucks/open region, Steve Stricker and Terry Porter have also moved on. So we will announce another Packers matchup coming up here after the break. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll announce our second matchup for the day, and that's going to come from the Bucks/open bracket over there. So make sure the only way your votes matter, the only way your votes count, got to vote on Twitter/X or Facebook when we put up those polls. All right, so we'll get to those. We'll get to the first bracket coming up here in just a little bit. First matchup, I should say, in the bracket. So, but got a lot to hit up on, so let's dive into it right now. All right, let's talk a little Brewers to open up things. Brewers avoiding being swept in a 4-game series uh, against the Padres with their win yesterday. So Tobias Myers, though, kind of the talk again. And when you look at this pitching staff for the Brewers, Carlos Rodriguez, maybe not given what the Brewers were hoping for right now, and maybe kind of the staff is at a turning point, which leads to the question that has been getting a little bit louder. It started a while ago, but it's been getting a little bit louder now. Do you want the Brewers to sign Trevor Bauer? We've had a few of you bring it up the last couple of weeks, but we put it up on a Twitter poll on the Sports Talk Twitter page right now. Do you want the Brewers to sign Trevor Bauer, or are you of the mindset, you know what, I don't want to mess with the chemistry of this ball club right now with his off the field stuff going on. I don't want to mess with the chemistry. Okay, you can vote, and then give me some of your opinions and your thoughts on the texting line. Give me a quick text over there. All right, so let's get things rolling though. We'll get the lead off started here after this first break. Coming up, though, we'll announce that first bracket or first matchup is going to come from the Packers one. And if you were a 90s, early 2000s Packers fan, you're going to want to pay attention to this upcoming matchup. Just a little over a month away from the 4th annual Casper Classic to help benefit Backyard Dreams. And we've only got, when I checked it last night, just a couple spots opened up for the 1:30 tee time. Still got a few open for the 7:30 tee time slot. So you want to make sure you get your team in by visiting sportstalk1051.com, clicking on the link there, or 715store.com and signing up your two-person team for just $90. You get your round of golf with carts and 3 drink tickets per person over there. Meal provided by Hy-Vee and such. Just a new thing that we're going to be doing, starting a tradition this year. Big thanks to a couple of our sponsors for the outing there. But every year we're going to be awarding a green, actually called Augusta Green, I believe, but a green jacket from our good friends at Muldoon's Menswear. And big thanks to Resonance Branding Company. They put the patch on, a little bit of a crest right there on the front there. But we're going to be awarding a jacket to a person every year who has done a lot to help out either the outing or Backyard Dreams or anything like that. So the winner will be announced day of the outing before we tee off for that 9 a.m. or excuse me 10 a.m. Tee time over there. So going to be starting at noon, but big thanks to Muldoon's Menswear for being the jacket provider and Resonance Branding Company for putting the sweet logo on the front there. Just picked them up Friday. Probably saw a sneak peek of the picture on Facebook when we put it up there on Friday too. So, all right, let's first of all the matchup, the matchup that we're going to launch right now for our brackets as we continue to figure out who is the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time, as nominated all by you and as voted on by you. We went through who has already moved on into this little challenge that we got going on here. So let's go back to the Packers region for our third matchup. And as I said before the break, if you were a Packers fan in mid to late 90s, early 2000s, well, you'll like this one. We're going to go for the next matchup, Ahman Green versus Frank Winters, old bag of donuts. So right now, we'll put it up on Facebook and Twitter here in just a few minutes. But think about it for a hot minute. Who are you voting for? Who is more underrated between former Packers running back Ahman Green or former Packers center Frank Winters? Frank Winters was a guy when we were taking the nominations. I got to be honest, I was surprised for how many nominations he got. Not saying he's not deserving or anything like that, but I was surprised at how many people actually threw his name out there. So it was a little bit of a surprise there. So we'll see if he moves on and can defeat Ahman Green in this matchup. But let me see if I can put it up on Facebook right now. Yeah, it'll be up here in just a few minutes. So, quick update too on the Twitter poll that we just put out there about Trevor Bauer. If you'd like to see him back with, or not back, but would you like to see the Brewers make a move to potentially sign Trevor Bauer? And last I checked, it was at 60-40. 60 yes, 40% no. 40% no. So you can vote over there. I retweeted it on my Twitter account now. So, but you can vote over there and get your thoughts over there too. So, all right, let's get going here. Well, a couple more, actually a couple tweets. Richie said absolutely not. A couple people saying absolutely not on Twitter. So, all right, let's get her going here. Let's talk a little bit more Brewers here this morning. Brew Crew picking up the win yesterday to avoid a four-game series sweep, against the Padres. Tobias Myers looking pretty darn good. With his fourth straight win to go 5-2 so far on the season, to improve to 5-2 overall in the season. But yesterday he went 5 hits, 3 Ks, 1 earned run, and dude looked sharp. I mean, he looked sharp. He was in a big moment yesterday where the Brewers were potentially facing a 4-game sweep, in the first time that they would face a 4-game losing streak this year. He stepped up in a big moment when the Brewers needed him most, and he got her done yesterday. Another solid outing from him. And you look at what he has done so far in the month of June in these 4 games, with that 4-0 record with a .71 ERA. 4-0 record with a .71 ERA. He has given up just 2 earned runs total in 25 and a third innings pitched in these 4 games in the month of June. And yesterday, too, what was probably a big one, no walks issued. No free base runners or nothing. Nada. Zip. So Tobias Myers has been stepping up in a big time. And the guy only pitched 78 pitches yesterday, too. But got to tip your cap to him with this pitching staff, this starting pitching staff, in such a, in kind of in a flux with all the injuries and guys being called up, and not got guys like Carlos Rodriguez, who, in his 3 games maybe not looking like he's ready to be at the major league level. Tobias Myers has stepped up in a big way. And I think now, if there was any other questions about whether he was going to remain in the starting rotation or not, that should be put to bed. Tobias Myers has, I think, deserved to be in that starting rotation 100% for the rest of the season. Guy has earned it. If there was any other questions, there shouldn't be any more about Tobias Myers. So, Contreras, though, William Contreras, who didn't play yesterday, is kind of going through a slump right now. When you look at what he has done in the last 30 games, and right now he's not at the top of the mountain for the Brewers team lead and batting average. That belongs to Bryce Terang right now, if that's something you're kind of paying attention to, but it's by like 0.001 percentage point. But when you look at the last 30 games for Contreras in 130 at-bats, guy's just hitting 215. When you want to look at his last 30 at-bats right here, he's down to a 167 batting average, an on-base percentage of a 194, and he's slugging just 167. 167. We knew at some point Contreras was probably going to be going through a little bit of a slump. He was probably going to go through a slump at some point. Odds are he probably wasn't going to be, hitting around 340, 330, whatever the heck it was for a while there, the first couple months of the season. He was going to come back down to earth. It was bound to happen. And it's probably happening right now. And it's probably why, part of it too, got the off day yesterday. I mean, you look at his last couple games against the Padres, he struck out a couple times, excuse me, in those performances too. So I'm not worried about Contreras. I'm not worried about what he's, done offensively the last 30 games or so. I think he's going to bounce back, and I think he's still going to be a threat at the plate. And I think once he gets back there, he's going to be one of those guys that I would hope kind of improves the numbers with runners in scoring position too for the Brewers. But I think he's just going through a little bit of a rough spell right now, and he'll bounce back. I've got the confidence in Contreras that he's going to be able to do that, no doubt. So Brewers now though they get set. They finally get back to Milwaukee where they will be taking on the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers starting tonight. Your pitching matchups for this series, you're going to get Freddie Peralta, who's coming off of that kind of vintage Freddie starts from his previous starts. Then you've got Wilson, and then Colin Ray, another pitcher who has been pretty darn solid for the most part for a big part of the season so far, the entire season, if you will. But Freddie Peralta, going back to him because we'll preview this game first. But going back to that game against the Angels where he went 6 innings, 3 hits, struck out 8, no earned runs there, picked up his 5th win of the season. There was a lot of talk about leading before that game. Was there something going on? Was there something injured? Was there, just something a little bit off with Freddie? Because he didn't look like Freddie Peralta for the longest time. So I'm looking for now for Freddie Peralta to stack some success, put together consecutive starts of a vintage Freddie Peralta, of a guy that we're looking to be that ace of this staff. Go out there and show that you are the ace of this staff, that you are a number 1 starter. Just even going back to what you were as an all-star a few days ago. So, what are your what I guess, what are your thoughts on what you've seen from Freddie Peralta this year? I know we've kind of dabbled into it a little bit here. I know we've kind of dabbled into it a little bit, but what are your thoughts? What are your scouting report a little bit, or what is your scouting report a little bit on Freddie Peralta thus far? I want to see some consistent success with him. That has been for me one of his biggest downfalls so far this year is just not seeing that consistent success out there. All right, we've got the poll question out there. Do you want to see Trevor Bauer in Milwaukee? Right now, at least on Twitter, 78% of you saying yes, but the texting line is complete opposite. Surveyor says yes. We've got Jason saying absolutely not. Tyler saying can't say that word, but he says no. Jim says don't need the drama surrounding this team. Mike saying don't want the added extra attention. Don't mess with the chemistry of this ball club. Not worth it. And then we've got Travis. Is it Travis saying no, thank you. Would rather have another rookie in the lineup. All right, keep your thoughts coming. We'll keep you posted on how that poll goes over there. Hit us up with the text 715-830-1912. All right, we'll take a quick break. I'll put up that poll for the bracket for the underrated Wisconsin, most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. We've got that first matchup coming up here. Amon Green, Frank Winters. Who are you rolling with? All right, think about it. We'll put it up on Facebook and Twitter coming up here in just a couple minutes. Get your weekend warrior, or not weekend warrior, your weekend hangover picks in by hitting us up with some texts at that 715-830-1912 Shoe Doctors bullpen line over there. We are now moving on from the Trevor Bauer one because too many people are making it a political agenda. So guess what? We're done with the Trevor Bauer question. So if you want to talk about it in terms of a baseball sense, go for it. Go for it. But if you're going to turn it into a political agenda, we're done. We're done now. So we're moving on from that. But Brewers back at it tonight, taking on the Texas Rangers in a 3-game series. As we mentioned a little bit with Freddie Peralta, let's go to some texts about Freddie Peralta, actually talking about baseball here. We've got Adam saying about Freddie Peralta here. He's definitely been a little disappointing in my opinion, but hopefully he can continue to build off of his previous start because the Brewers definitely need him to be kind of an ace of the staff when it comes to the postseason. I agree with that. That's the big thing when it gets for me when we get to the postseason here is the pitching part of it. Who's going to be the guy? Who's going to be that top of that rotation, especially that number one, or maybe the top three over there. But when it gets to the postseason, we need those pitchers to really kind of step it up and be kind of ace of staff. Really display that you know what, they got the goods, that they can lead this team to some postseason victories. So I agree with you that I want to see Freddie Peralta get to a point where where we're seeing him be consistent, a consistent threat at the top of that rotation, to kind of lead us to some postseason victories here. And right now, if the playoffs started tomorrow, I don't know if I'd feel that way if Freddie Peralta was there. I'd be nervous. I'd be a little bit nervous. I want to see some, and I know maybe we have the bar set a little too high with what we've seen from Corbin Burns and such over there. But man, I'd like to see some more dominating performances from Freddie out there. We've got Rick. Rick also saying about Freddie Peralta. It was good to see him have that solid start the other night. Hopefully, whatever he was going through a little bit earlier in the season is behind him now, and he can start to add on some more wins. Some more texts here. We've got John. John also saying that about Freddie Peralta. I'm still high on Freddie Peralta. Pitchers go through some issues more times than not. We'll see if he can have another solid game tonight. Don't give up on Freddie. I don't think anybody's given up on Freddie yet. And I'm not ready to give up on Freddie by any means. I'm not ready to give up on Freddie by any means. If he's going to be that number one starter, if he's going to be that number one ace of the staff, I just want him to be a little bit more consistent. I just want him to be, a guy that when he's that ace of that staff, when it's their turn in the rotation, you're feeling pretty darn good that you're going to be coming away with a W. And I don't know if I'm there quite yet with Freddie. When Corbin Burns was out there, again, we're making a comparison with Corbin Burns and we're not supposed to. But when Corbin Burns was out there, I was feeling pretty good that, you know what, our chances of winning was pretty high. Our chances of winning was pretty high. When Brandon Woodruff was out there, I felt like our chances were pretty high of winning. I don't know if I'm at that level yet with Freddie. I don't know if I'm at that level with any Brewers starting pitcher right now. I don't know if I'm there. So, and I don't think I'll ever be there with a guy, and hate to be this way, but I don't think I'll ever be there with a guy even with like Colin Ray or Tobias Myers or anything like that. Just I don't know. I maybe need to see it a little bit more. Tobias Myers, again, just 2 earned runs in his last 25 and a third innings pitched. 0.71 ERA in 4 games here for Tobias Myers. So a couple more texts about Freddie Peralta here, just coming in here. Brian saying with Freddie, I don't think he's close to being an ace of any staff, regardless if it's the Brewers or anybody else. I've never been the biggest Freddie Peralta guy out there. Hopefully, I can be wrong, but Brewers definitely need him to step up his game a little bit more. We've got another text from Kevin saying Freddie Peralta is more like a 2 or a 3. I think it was you or Brandon that said that he's kind of like a Giovanni Gallardo, and I think that is the perfect comparison. That was Brandon. That was Brandon that said that last year. It was Brandon that said that last week, excuse me. And I could see that, and I would agree with that. Like Giovanni, I don't think that's necessarily a knock on Giovanni Gallardo, or it would be a knock on Freddie Peralta, but I would agree with that comparison. Yeah. We got another texture here from this is from Drew, saying strictly from a baseball perspective, I would not be in favor of signing a guy like Trevor Bauer because I would be worried about the team chemistry with this ball club. It seems to be at an all-time high right now. Bringing in somebody that's got a lot of attention, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know if it would be great for a team of this makeup right now. Another texter here about this Brewers pitching staff. Got to give a shout out to the pitching staff, though, for considering how many issues this group has had with injuries and other guys coming in and out. Who gets more credit, Matt Arnold, Chris Hook, or Pat Murphy? I don't know if you want to necessarily give more credit to one person or the other. I think it's a combination of all of them. But I think, a big part, though, too, is Chris Hook, that pitching coach for the Brewers, getting those guys ready, getting those guys prepared. I think you got to, if you had to give somebody a little bit more credit, then maybe it is Chris Hook. But I think it's all around. I think it's Matt Arnold. I think it's Pat Murphy for pushing the right buttons. But I also think it's Chris Hook for getting those guys ready. Remember, former Brewers pitcher Jim Henderson's a assistant pitching coach on there too. Got to imagine he's got a little bit of effect. You see him a lot if you're watching the games on the telecast and such, talking to those guys in the dugout and that. But got to probably factor him into this one here too. So a couple more texts. A lot of you chiming in with the Brewers and pitching right now. I like it. Keep coming. Hit me up with those texts, 715-830-1912. In terms of Freddie Peralta, a lot of you chiming in about Freddie Peralta here this morning. Freddie Peralta, I've been a little disappointed in him. I'm hoping that he can have another game tonight and start to build success here. But really important to see what he does in the second half of the season. He's still super important to this team because he is really talented, but also because they don't have a lot of other pitching depth behind them. That's fair. That's fair. I would 100% agree with that. Thanks for the text over there. We had Wayne a little bit earlier on the video stream talking about Jackson Cheerio's batting average starting to creep up there. And right now, when you look at his last, he's kind of, this is typical rookie numbers, I think, because we'll break it down in 3 different ways here. Last 30 games, if you're just looking at batting average, and I know that doesn't tell the whole story, and you don't want to box score scout or anything like that. But when you look at the last 30 games here, 258 batting average, on base percentage of a 309, slugging of a 416. Then if you break it down to his last 15 games, his batting average is a 310, an on base of a 375, and a slugging of a 452. But then when you break it down to his last 7 games, 263 batting average, 250 on base, slugging of a 368. Overall this year, Jackson Cheerio hitting 230, 7 home runs, OPS of a 640, on base percentage of a 278. There was some talk, I think it was more amongst Brewers fans and people on the Twitter and the Facebooks and the interwebs and all that sort of stuff. We're kind of saying, would Jackson Cheerio be sent back down when Garrett Mitchell was ready to come up? And I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't see Jackson Cheerio being sent back down to AAA for Garrett Mitchell. I don't see that happening. And honestly, I don't know if that will help Jackson Cheerio at this point. I think he's in the big leagues now for good. And I guess I shouldn't shut the door completely on him ever getting sent back down to AAA if he goes through some slumps or something like that, long-term slumps or anything like that. But I don't think when Garrett Mitchell comes up that we're going to see Jackson Cheerio kind of being the odd man out and being the guy that gets sent back down to AAA. I don't see that happening. It will be interesting to see what moves they do make when Mitchell is ready to be called back up and he's ready to be in that lineup. Is he going to be inserted into, starting center field spot right away? Could it be a trade? Could it be, somebody else being sent back down? I don't know, but I think Jackson Cheerio is off the table. Our good friend Dominic Cutriano. I probably just butchered your last name. I'm sorry, Dominic, but hosts the Brewers post game show. We should get Dominic back on here, on the program here. But it's like he said too about Jackson Cheerio, and I would agree to this, that there really isn't anything more for him to learn at AAA or in the minor leagues. And might be kind of weird saying this considering he didn't play a lot at AAA, didn't play a lot in the minors. But I mean, he's played half of a season, almost half of a season at the big leagues right now. And I just think that you gotta take the growing pains with Jackson Cheerio this year. And so far the Brewers have been doing it, and they've been doing that while also winning games. And Jackson Cheerio has been a part of that too. It's not like they're winning in spite of Jackson Cheerio. They've been winning some games because of Jackson Cheerio, because of some of his plays, because of some of his athleticism. So it's not like that he's in there and he's hitting like 120 and striking out a ton. He's been a part too of why they have been winning some games. A couple more texts to catch up on here. So we've got where are we at here we got a few of them to kind of scroll through here. Tobias Myers has definitely been one of the biggest surprises so far this season. Not ready to say he's going to be a regular starter for the future for this Brewer staff, but it just adds to another story to this already awesome, fun season for the Brewers. Don't ruin it by signing Trevor Bauer. That's from Jim. We've got another texture here. This is from Adam. Adam saying, with Jackson Cheerio, I agree with you. I don't think he should be sent down to AAA to make room for Garrett Mitchell. If anything, I think the Brewers are in a position to trade one of their outfielders to bring in another pitcher or two. Do you think they can get a major league ready arm in a trade for one of those outfielders, though? I mean, that's the $1 million question, right? And maybe they could if it's a veteran where it's just kind of a rental for the rest of this year. Maybe they could trade one of their outfielders, whether it's a Joey Weimer or such, for one of those veterans. Or maybe they can get a pitcher if they package a little bit more, that they would have a little bit more control over the next couple of years. So I don't know. And got another texter here. This is from Dave. Dave is saying, while Trevor Bauer would be a great influx of talent into the starting rotation, I don't think the extra attention that it would bring to this team would do it any improvement. Excuse me. I just like the chemistry of this team right now. I like where the clubhouse is right now. So many fans tend to overlook that aspect of it. Maybe there's enough leadership on this team, especially with Pat Murphy, to be able to take somebody in like that. But right now, I'd be a little bit nervous. All right, keep your thoughts like that. Baseball wise, keep those coming. Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. All right, coming up next hour, we'll get you updated on where we are at with the poll for the next matchup of who is the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. And I'll tell you right now on Facebook, it's not going where I thought it was going. I have to put it up on Twitter yet. But Frank Winters is out to an early lead by a wide margin over Amon Green. By a wide margin right now. Okay, maybe a little dramatizing that here a little bit, but he is out to an early lead. So who do you think between Amon Green and Frank Winters? Amon Green and Frank Winters. Okay, it's up on Facebook right now. I'll put it up on Twitter during the break here, and then we'll announce another Bucks/Open brackets coming up here in about the 8 o'clock hour. So next hour too, I want to talk some Bucks as we get ready for the NBA draft coming up in just a couple of days here. Who are some of the names that when it gets to the draft that maybe you should start paying attention to if you're a Bucks fan? Who's been kind of mocked so far to the Bucks? Where does this team stand? Remember, the Bucks have 2 picks, 23rd overall and 33 overall. Could they potentially package it and move it up? Draft experts, though, say this is not a great draft. So, who'd be up there worth trading for? Hey, if we got any diehard NBA draft insiders out there listening, give me some names, all right? Give me some names. One in, we got a couple more to go here. Stick around. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour kicking off right now. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Coming up this hour, we're going to switch gears up a little bit and talk a little hoops. Bucks fans, maybe. I don't know if you're getting excited for the draft or if you're even paying attention to the NBA draft, which is coming up Wednesday and Thursday, a couple days from now here. So we'll get to some basketball talk here. We've got where the Bucks are at, maybe some names to kind of be paying attention to in terms of where they are drafting. So we'll hit that up. We got a game 7 tonight, baby. Talk about some positive stuff in the world of sports here. We've got a game 7 between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Puck drops at 7 p.m. tonight. Potentially some history in the making tonight with this. If Edmonton can complete the epic comeback down 3-0 in this series, could they win 4 in a row? They've already won 3 in a row, but can they get the job done tonight? We got that first matchup. And this is where it kind of gets interesting for me is how I see Facebook voters vote and Twitter/X voters vote here. Facebook, we've got the bracket continues with Amon Green versus Frank Winters. Frank Winters is leading the Facebook vote by a wide margin. However, on Twitter, it's Amon Green who's leading by a wide margin right now. So wherever you want to vote, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, you can do so. They are now up on my Twitter and Facebook pages if you would like to take a vote over there. So maybe this is going to be one that's going to be close, kind of like the Al Toon and Daryl Bevel one. That was fairly close. Just a quick update on those who have moved on to the round of 32. BJ Surhoff, Lyle Overbay, Ben Sheets, Al Toon, Kirk Penny, Paul Kaufman, Lynn Dickey, Steve Stricker, and Terry Porter. We'll announce another matchup coming from that Bucks/Open region, but it will be 2 Milwaukee Bucks players coming up with that matchup that we'll announce in the 8 o'clock hour. Let's catch up on a couple other texts here, a couple other messages with the Brew Crew. Are you starting to get a little bit nervous, asks Eric, about the St. Louis Cardinals catching up to the Brewers? We were talking a little bit about earlier, but the Cardinals now with a winning record, 39-37 on the season, 2 games over 500. I mean, said it last year. I guess we got to say it this year. Yeah, I'm a little nervous with the Cardinals catching up. Because it's the Cardinals, man. I mean, it just they seem to never go away. I think last year when they were still 15 games back, we were still a little bit nervous about the Cardinals. So yeah, I'm always going to be nervous about them and until they're officially eliminated or until the season is over with. I will always be nervous about the Cardinals. So yeah, and you got to give them credit. I mean, what? They're playing some good baseball right now. You got to give them some credit. They're playing some really good baseball, and they're climbing up here a little bit as we approach the halfway mark of this season. Brewers, it'll be complete 50% complete halfway through the mark when we get to Thursday here. But Cardinals right now 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row, taking advantage of the rest of this NL Central. So moving on up, but they've got Atlanta, so hopefully the Braves can help out the Brewers here a little bit and knock the Cardinals down a peg or two, or at least a couple pegs, just a couple. All right, help us out a little bit here with the Braves. So let's chat a little hoops just to mix it up here. I was looking at NBA.com as we get set for the NBA draft coming up on Wednesday, first round. Remember, they're doing 2 days, first round Wednesday, second round on Thursday, new this year. But was looking at, they got NBA.com's got a good breakdown of NBA draft profile for each of these teams here. And when it comes to the Bucks, Pre-draft outlook. Where does a team go after a, quote, bust? This was, after all, a championship or bust season based on Milwaukee's trade for Damian Lillard in September and verified when it fired coach Adrian Griffin at the midseason and brought in Doc Rivers. Alas, the Bucks were worse than before Lillard's arrival, and they got worse again from Griffin's 30-13 start to Rivers' 17-19 finish. Injuries hurt in the regular season, then with Giannis missing the first round versus Indiana entirely, and Damian Lillard held out of games 4 and 5, washed them out of the playoffs completely, 3 rounds short of what could have qualified as success. The way to go, Milwaukee needs a lot more help than the number 23 and 33 picks can reasonably provide. It's defense at the 1, 2, and 3 positions. It's defense at the 1, 2, and 3 positions is inadequate. The roster lacks depth and athletic ability, and some of the young guys on the bench have played enough to disappoint rather than encourage. Still, you patch holes however you can. If the Bucks were to trade center Brook Lopez or power forward Bobby Portis, or even just seek a backup, one possibility in the draft with size is Yevis Missy, the big man from Baylor. Help on the wing should come from the form of Dadiet, an 18-year-old Frenchman who played most recently in Germany. Currently under contract for the Bucks, Pat Connaughton, AJ Green, Andre Jackson Jr., Damian Lillard, Ryan Rollins, Giannis, Marjan Beauchamp, Jalen Galloway, Chris Livingston, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, and Brook Lopez. Free agents, Patrick Beverly, Malik Beasley, Ty Washington Jr., Thanasis, Jay Crowder, and Gallinari. When it comes to the NBA draft, outside the top picks there, and even in the last few years, I'll be honest with you, it's it's hard to really get a sense of these players. And it's hard, the NFL for one, and I know it's probably not fair to compare the NBA draft to the NFL draft, but the NFL draft, for one, we know they're all college players. They're all college players. So we kind of get a sense of them. We know about them, and they got to play in college for a few years. So we're built up, and we kind of get to know some of these guys for at least a couple years. And then we're spending months on the combine, draft previews, visits, that sort of stuff. The NBA draft starts, 2 weeks after the NBA Finals, a week and a half after the NBA Finals. And a lot of these kids, they're in college for maybe a year, or they're not in college at all. They're playing in the G League, or they're across the seas playing international ball, and we don't know anything about them. We don't know a whole lot about them. So I'll admit, I don't know a ton about a lot of these NBA draft prospects. I don't. That's where I kind of rely on, okay, where are some of these NBA experts going? Where do they think the Bucks should go? Or who are some of the names that are attached as a good fit for the Milwaukee Bucks? Or another way of doing this too is like, okay, so what are the biggest needs for the Bucks coming into this draft? And is there anybody that kind of fits that? And when it comes to this draft, there's one thing that the quote unquote experts are saying about this more times than not. It's not a great draft in terms of a lot of talent. It's not. That's kind of one of the prevailing theories out there. It's not a great draft in terms of deep talent, overall talent. Which, if you're a team like the Bucks, probably not something, at this point in time, considering where they're at as a team and the, championship or bust expectations are going to continue as long as Giannis is there and as long as, him and Damian are going to be paired up together and Doc Rivers is your coach. It's going to be championship or bust expectations. So when you get to a draft now that is kind of viewed as, not great, doesn't really bode well for the Bucks. I mean, the biggest talk of this draft, let's be real, the biggest talk of this draft is Bronny James, LeBron's kid. Is he going to go in the second round? Is a team going to swoop in and draft him in the first round? He isn't taking any meetings besides with the Suns and the Lakers, apparently. Not doing any draft, visits. But that's kind of, I mean, can a general NBA fan, diehards probably, but can a general NBA fan tell you who's the prevailing thought or who's going to be um the prevailing number one overall pick? Probably not a lot. I mean, obviously, there's not going to be a LeBron James or who's Victor Wembanyama from last year. There isn't that type of player out there. So it's hard to for me personally. I don't know if the rest of you like. It's hard for me personally to really get into the NBA draft, into this particular NBA draft because you just don't know a whole lot about these guys, and we don't have a lot of time. Once we know who's in the draft, and once we start to hear these names, it's not built up like the NFL draft, or we're not following these guys for at least a few years like we are in the NFL draft because of college football. You got a bunch of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds coming from all waves of life, whether it is college ball, whether it is international ball, whether it is the G League and such. But back to the Bucks here. I saw this earlier this morning or last night. Was it late last night? It doesn't matter. But there are reports that the Bucks are gauging some potential trade packages for Brook Lopez. This was from Jake Fisher from Yahoo. Quote, gauging the trade value for Brook Lopez. The Ringer's Kevin O'Connor hinted at why when he wrote that there are rumblings that the Bucks would like to play a more versatile style of defense next season. So I mean, there's that talk out there that could Brook Lopez potentially be traded. The thing is, he's 36 years old, and he's kind of now recently gone through some back issues. Guy still goes out there and plays, but you want to talk about a guy with consistency too? Maybe that's kind of one of his knocks. One night that guy could be on fire, or at least in the half. First half he'll be knocking down threes from behind the arc, and you kind of don't hear from him. And I know his defensive play. He's a great rim protector. He's a great rim protector, but in a league that is expanding to where the big guys, the big men are going outside of the arc, he struggles to defend out there. We saw that in that Indiana series. We saw that against the Pacers, that he struggled a little bit out there against Miles Turner and such. And it was one of the questions that was thrown out right away after the season was, could the Bucks try to trade for Brook Lopez? Then it kind of seemed to quiet down. I mean, you had Giannis after the season go out there and say, all these guys are going to be back. He mentioned Brook Lopez and such, and then it kind of quieted down. But maybe now we're kind of getting that way to where maybe they could actually move on from him. Thing is, who, right? Who is going to be or who's going to be that team that's willing to take on Brook Lopez, and what really could the Bucks get in return? Could it be better assets for a trade elsewhere? I don't know. And I would think a team, not necessarily. I'll stop. I was going to say I would think it was going to be a team that, if they were to take on Brook Lopez, it would have to be a team that maybe is a championship now. But the NBA is so different. We've seen teams take on veterans and then they'll move on and clear some caps. I mean, it's all about trying to clear some darn cap space out there. But I'd be in favor. I like Brook Lopez. I like him. I like him a lot, but I think in this style of NBA, I think you got to get more athletic from your bigs. I think you got to get a big that can defend the perimeter, that can go out there because the NBA is more and more and more becoming positionless. I mean, what's what Joel Embiid even plays outside a little bit more too. He's got a really good inside game, but he can play a little bit on the outside too. All right, we got to take a quick break here. We'll have more. Get your votes coming in for the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. It looks like it's going to be a tight one. It's going to be a tight one. Don't forget, get your weekend hangover picks in too. What was the best? What was the worst? We'll be back after these quick words. Where should we go with the mobile man cave? Whether it's doing some podcasts, whether it's doing some shows, or just hanging out at a tailgate party, or whatever the case may be, we're looking for some places to hit up. So let me know. Give me some nominations and such. Big thanks to our sponsors, partners with the mobile man cave, Carpet City Flooring Center, Woods and Water Realty, The Elbow Room, and Toyson Ford. Also, hey, we wanna feature you out there. Tell us why you think you are the biggest sports fan out there, or why we should feature you or your team for a Weekend Warrior. Why we should, or if you got some great backyard barbecue tips, tailgate tips, or anything like that. Hey, all that's available at our website, sportstalk1051.com. Just click on the fan cave tab over there, and we want to kind of feature you a little bit here. So if you think you should be featured as our fan of the month, let us know. If you got a good weekend warrior, whether you are a slow pitch softball team or you spent the weekend biking like 15 miles, you're better than me. Send me a pic, throw out, or send me a little comment. Maybe we'll feature you. Throwback Thursday. Throwing it back to some former teams and athletes out there too. We want to hear from that. Also, for the love of the game, if you know an athlete, a youth athlete, a coach, a volunteer coach, or even an official who just volunteers their time because of the love of the game, we want to feature them on every Friday too. So give me some nominations. All right, hit me up with a message on Facebook or shoot me an email. That's the best way to go about that. So send those puppies on over so we can feature some of you out there. All right. Amon Green making her push, making her run right now. Pun intended. Texter asked who I would vote for between Frank Winters and Amon Green, and I got to go Amon Green. I'm sorry, but I totally get the Frank Winters pick, and I think he absolutely deserves to be in this bracket, but I got to go Amon Green. 9,200 yards rushing, that's his career. But in terms of just Green Bay, over 8,300 yards rushing in his career in Green Bay. I mean, that run from 2000 to 2004, it was pretty special for Amon Green when he first came aboard. I mean, he came over in a trade from Seattle. I mean, I don't think anybody really expected a whole lot from Amon Green. We didn't really know a whole lot about him. And then he just explodes, gets an opportunity to be a starter, and just comes out on fire. I mean, 2000 to 2004, 1,000 yards rushing every season. That 2003 season where he had over 1,800 yards rushing. I still remember that final game, the regular season game against the Broncos, when they had to win and get some help from Minnesota and Arizona. We all know that. But I remember walking in. I was actually doing some late season bow hunting that day. And I remember walking in the house, and the game was on, and I walked in right at that moment when he ran for that 98-yarder. Was it a 98-yarder? Something like that. I think it was a 98-yarder. Could be wrong. But 98-yarder. It says right here, longest, 98. But I remember that one. I mean, that dude, when that season, that 2003 season, he was awesome. He was so awesome. And I know 2005, a little bit banged up, but who wasn't banged up in 2005 for Green Bay that year? I mean, Javon Walker got hurt that first game against Detroit, tore his ACL. I mean, I remember going to that final game of the regular season against Seattle when everybody thought it was going to be Favre's final year or final game and such. It was New Year's Day. But, everybody got hurt that year. Comes back in 2006, Mike McCarthy's first year, and, new system and such, and runs over 1,000 yards. So, I would probably vote for Amon Green. If my vote counted in this thing, I'd probably go for Amon Green. So, but hey, you are the ones. Your votes are the ones that determine this. All right. So again, Facebook or Twitter, and it looks like it's. Let me bring up the Facebook because Twitter, Amon Green's dominating. It's literally tied right now on Facebook between Amon Green and Frank Winters. So, all right, we shall see. We'll announce another one coming up in the next hour. A little bit of a hint. since it is NBA draft week here, it will be two Bucks players, two former Bucks players that'll be in that matchup for one. I posted up. It's not necessarily a poll question, but I posted it up on Facebook and everybody to kind of get your thoughts. Are you in favor of the Bucks trading Brook Lopez? Are you in favor of the Bucks trading Brook Lopez? Thumbs up, thumbs down, yay or nay. Do you want the Bucks? Do you think the Bucks should trade Brook Lopez? A couple texts coming through here saying, this is from Jimmy. Jimmy is saying, I love Brook Lopez. I love his personality. I love the fact that he's a big that could shoot threes, but I do think he is a liability on the defensive end for the current style of how the NBA is played today. He's a good rim protector, low post defender, blocks shots, but I think if you go up against a team like Indiana who can spread him out, he is a liability as a defender. Another texter, don't have a name, can't give any credit, but they just simply say, no, I would not be in favor of that. So do you think the Bucks should? Or do you think they have to? Is that the best way to say it? Do they have to get up to the current times here? You know, the biggest question is like, who do you trade for? What would they get in return? It's so hard to try to figure it out in terms of the NBA. I mean, they could send him to a team where that team the next day might release him or trade him to another team. You know, that sort of like the Drew Holiday thing, right? Bucks trade Drew Holiday to Portland, then he's off to Boston. So that one, it's so hard to kind of gauge potentially where that thing could go. But I get it. I get the thought process behind trading Brook Lopez. Again, I think he's like a couple of you mentioned, great rim protector, great shot blocker. But when you're going up against a team that can spread you out and play a little bit more on the perimeter, and if you got it going up against a team kind of like Indiana with Miles Turner or another big that can, you know, get the ball outside the three but drive to the lane, drive to the hole, that's a liability, I think, for Brook. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks want to kind of be a little bit more versatile, maybe be more athletic when it comes to their bigs down low. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way they want to go. You know, one, I guess, option if you're kind of maybe looking for a trade partner, could it be the Suns? You got Mike Budenholzer over there, and we know the type of player Brook Lopez was under Budenholzer, kind of resurrected his career, ended up, you know, getting paid some big time money and all that such. Could that be an option? Could that be a target? Then you're maybe looking at some guys over there. Maybe. But that's going to be a name that'll be floated out there potentially as a match for Brook Lopez if he is actually available, like these reports are kind of insinuating out there. I mean, you got Bull, 7'3", 220-pound, you know, guy over there. Would that be somebody that the Bucks could be interested? I don't know. I mean, he just averaged 5.2 points per game last year, so could it be a draft day trade? Possibly, I guess, but we'll see. But keep your thoughts coming on the Brook Lopez ordeal over there. So, hey, in case you didn't notice, if you don't have Instagram or anything like that, Jordan Love is in love. He got engaged over the weekend because now we gotta mention that out there. I got to give a shout out though to Matt Schneidman, who covers the Packers, because he had the ultimate tweet regarding the photo that Jordan Love had posted on Instagram with his engagement, because he got on one knee. Matt Schneidman, shout out to, saying Jordan Love practicing his victory formation kneel down even on vacation. Well played. Absolutely love that. So, all right, coming up, we're going to take another break here in just a couple minutes. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk here as the Brewers avoiding being swept by the Padres yesterday with their win. Tobias Myers, man, 4 games in a row. This kid, this rookie, he's been pretty darn solid in these last 4 starts. A lot of rookies stepping up so far for the Brewers this season, no doubt about it. So we'll get back some Brewers talk, taking a look at this series against the Texas Rangers as the Brewers now return back to Milwaukee and get set to take on the defending World Series champs. We got Freddie Peralta on the mound tonight. Freddie Peralta looking to build upon his previous start. Looked like vintage Freddie in his previous start against the Angels. After a few starts before that where he had some people kind of like scratching their heads like, okay, is there something going on? Is there something, is Freddie hurt? But best way to do that, to silence some of the doubters or some of the naysayers, go out on the field and play your game. And he did that. So can he start to continue to be consistent? If he's going to be that number one starter, can he continue to go out there and be that consistent, dominant, really good starter out there? So we'll take a look at that series coming up here. But we've got some weekend hangovers. Last call for your best and worst from the weekend, the highlights, the lowlights, whatever. It could be sports related or something for maybe that happened to you personally over the weekend, whatever the case may be. All right. Send those puppies on over. Hit me up with a text 715-830-1912. All right. We'll take another break and then we'll finish up the second hour after these quick words. Next week we'll is it next week? Yeah, a week from Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we are going to be a month away from the fourth annual Casper Classic. Probably saw some of the jackets we're going to be giving away. Got one jacket we're going to be awarding. I shouldn't say giving away, awarding to somebody who does a lot for Backyard Dreams and the outing or such. So we'll announce that winner coming up the day of the outing on August 2nd. Big thanks to all of our sponsors for the fourth annual Casper Classic out there. Uh, Shout out Princeton Valley Golf Course that's allowing us to get back out there and be on their course. Hy-Vee providing the lunch again, grilling out, bringing the big grills over there. So big thanks to Hy-Vee. They've been on board for the last few years as well. Carpet City Flooring Center. Big shout out to our good friends from Carpet City Flooring Center. The Elbow Room also up there too. Got Jumco Surfaces. That's also a sponsor of the Casper Classic up here. We've got Kelsey Nikolai, American Family, and Kelsey Nikolai, Edward Jones, financial advisor over there. She's been with us for the last couple of years as well for the Casper Classic. Who else do we got up there? We've got Park Ridge Distributing. We've got AJM Automotive Service, new this year with AJM. Actually going to be taking the truck over there to get some new brakes at the end of this week. Truck needs some new brakes over there. Dodge in. We've got Hannah Sellner, Agency American Family Insurance, Residence Branding Company. Big shout out to the boys over there too for putting that embroidering that sweet logo on our jackets from Muldoon's. Shout out to Muldoon's too. Shepke Chiropractic. So big thanks to all of our sponsors. But we need some donate. You know, if you're not a golfer, or you just can't golf, but you want to help out because this helps support Backyard Dreams. Hey, we're looking for some prizes to donate to be part of our raffles and such. So, if you're interested in helping, or maybe you know somebody that could be a good connection over there, hit me up. All right, hit me up. Anybody got a connection at Shields or something like that? Hit me up. All right, we want to get some awesome prizes out there. We've got stuff from the Packers that they've donated. Sounds like we're going to be getting some stuff from the Bucks and the Brewers and such too. So, but if you're interested in helping, got a connection or anything like that, let me know. All right, so we can make this the best one ever to help support Backyard Dreams because we got some big ideas and some big plans here for Backyard Dreams. And big thanks to all of you who have supported it over the years because we've helped out a lot of people, a lot of kiddos here in the area. So, title belts were ordered last week, so they shall be here soon. Maybe that we'll post those up when we get there, and that might provide a little bit of extra inspiration and motivation for everybody out there too. So, all right, we got about 10 minutes to the top of the hour here. It's back and forth between Amon Green and Frank Winters on Facebook, but Amon Green's kind of running away with it right now on Twitter. We'll announce another matchup. It's going to be two former Bucks players. If you know your Bucks history, it's not that far back, but if you know your Bucks history, this one could potentially be a little bit close. But I've got a feeling who's going to win it based off of recency and just marketing stuff like name recognition. So I got a feeling I know who's going to win it, but we'll see once we announce it coming up next hour. But let's do the weekend hangover. All right, the weekend highs, the weekend lows, best and worst and such. If I'm keeping it from a sports perspective here, Scotty Scheffler, man. I mean, this guy just continues to win and win and win. I mean, this guy is. What else can we say about him as he picked up his sixth win of the 2024 season already? Sixth win. He that is the most already. He has tied the most in one season on the PGA Tour since Tiger Woods had six in 2009, and it is the most before July since Arnold Palmer won six in 1962. and we still got another major to go. We still got a lot of other big tournaments to go here. I mean, if I were a betting person, I would probably bet that Scotty Scheffler is going to win at least one more. He's still got a couple months to go here. So I'd feel comfortable in saying that he's probably going to win at least one more. I mean, this guy, the run he's on right now, he's on a hot streak, man. He's on a hot streak. And you just got to kind of tip your cap to him. So, another one I wanted to throw out there too for best of the weekend or the highs from the weekend. But it's officially official too, and he's going to be in at least one event. But Kenny Bednarik, he took second, former Rice Lake native, took second in the 100 U.S. trials. So he's back to the Olympics, at least for that. So we're going to see Kenny Bednarik back at the Olympics this summer in Paris. Again, probably no big surprise to anybody who knows Kenny or has followed him for the last few years. But officially, he's going to be back in the Olympics for at least one event, a couple events over there. So that's another positive high from the weekend. Kenny and Scotty Scheffler. The lows, I mean, the easiest one, could be Brewers losing 3 out of 4 against the Padres. I mean, that could be one there too. I mean, if you wanted to kind of narrow it down, maybe it's Carlos Rodriguez, the rookie pitcher for the Brewers. His first 3 starts, probably not how he imagined his first 3 starts of his pro career at the show going. Got charged with another loss this past weekend against the Padres, going 4 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs in his 3 starts so far. This is how his lines have gone, and it's starting with his first one. 3 2/3 innings pitched, 4 2/3 innings, 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 hits, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 4 earned runs. Again, probably not how he imagined it. It's not to say anything that he can't turn it around in his career or his future, but definitely a little bit of a slow start here. A little bit of a slow start. So another kind of downer, if you are if you kind of follow NHRA, John Force was involved in a fiery car crash, but he is alert. He is alert according to ESPN. He was alert and talking to safety workers immediately after a 300-mile-per-hour crash on Sunday. I mean, 300 miles per hour. Anybody who does that, boy, that's, man. But that was kind of a downer too. I mean, scary situation, right? Scary situation. So those are my weekend highs and lows over there. So I should throw in weekend high. We had a little B-Day party for Mr. Hudson, who will be turning 7 here in a couple days. So shout out to little Hutsy there and all of his friends who came over to help celebrate there too. So that's more of on the personal side of things. All right, let's catch up on some text here, shall we? In terms of the Brooke Lopez question we threw out there for some Bucks fans, it seems like the majority of you would like to see Brooke Lopez gone, traded, moved on. We've got Kevin on the Shoe Doctors bullpen texting line saying, I like Brooke Lopez, but it's time to move on. His age is up there. He's a liability on perimeter defense. Time to get younger and more athletic. Tyler also saying, move on from Brooke. Get what you can get from him and get younger at the position. Another texter, no name, can't give you any credit. But he says this team overall average age is way up there. They got to get a little bit younger and more athletic down low to join up with Giannis. Move on from Brooke. Another texter asking, what could they get for Brooke Lopez in a trade return? Kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier. I have no idea. I'm not going to pretend to know because the NBA trades are kind of all over the place. And when it comes to a veteran like Brooke, you could see him getting traded to a team, and then maybe that team releases him and such, or gets shipped off somewhere else, Drew Holiday-esque. Maybe he stays with a team that's not necessarily a contender. Maybe he goes to a team that is a veteran away from, or maybe just wants to add a veteran presence that's close. I don't know. One team that was kind of thrown out there was the Thunder. One team that's probably going to be mentioned is going to be the Suns because of the connection with Mike Budenholzer. So, there's those thoughts out there. But it looks like the majority of you want, or feel like at least, the Bucks should try to move on from Brook Lopez and try to get a little bit more athletic, a little bit more younger at the post position here. In terms of the Brewers, we've got Jim saying, what can we say about Tobias Myers and some of these other pitchers who have stepped up this year? What another solid outing from him. 4 wins in a row. Excited to see how he continues to progress throughout the season. Another texter asking if whenever Garrett Mitchell comes up, who gets sent down? That's $1 million question, isn't it? I mean, that's been the question I think the last few days, going back to last week, and I think somebody also asked about it this morning. I know there was some Twitter or social media stuff out there saying, could Jackson Cheerio be the guy that gets sent down to AAA? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, the easiest answer for just us fans out there that are looking at it saying, hey, trade one of those guys and maybe get some pitching. That's the easiest answer. But I don't know. I mean, you're not going to. Christian Yelich is there. Cheerio's there. Don't think they would trade Sal Frelick. Don't think they would send him down either. Then you got Blake Perkins, who I think is a nice, fourth option there, defensive guy. And I mean, yesterday showed, a couple big hits there too. I like Blake Perkins, and I like him as a depth piece. All right, so maybe I'll throw it back to the rest of you for the final hour. Garrett Mitchell, what should the Brewers do when he's up, when he's ready to come up to the big leagues? Back to the pro team. Put him on there? Keep him down in AAA? Send somebody else down? And who? Give me a name who you would send down. Or who should they trade? Who should be, essentially, who's the odd man out? Is it Garrett Mitchell? Is it Sal Frelick? Is it Blake Perkins? Let's focus on those 3. Joey Wiemer really hasn't been a part of the equation, right? He hasn't been a part of this. So, assuming Yelich and Cheerio are locked in, assuming those 2 are locked in right now, who is the odd man out? And assuming they only keep 2 more. We got 3 outfielders here. Assuming they only keep 2 more. 4 outfielders, okay? And I know Bowers has a little versatility. He can, we saw yesterday, playing in the outfield. Mitchell, Frelick, Perkins. You can keep 2. Who are the 2 that you are keeping? Whether it's, and I think Perkins, don't quote me, but I don't think you can send him down to AAA because of service time, so you'd potentially lose him. So, got to keep 2 of these 3. Mitchell, Frelick, Perkins. Who deserves 2 out of 3 to be on the big league club? Hit me up with some texts, all right, on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or comment on the video stream. Take 2 out of 3 over there. All right, we got 2 in. We got 1 more to go. Coming up next hour, we'll announce the next and final matchup for the day for our bracket of the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. It's going to be a Bucks matchup coming up here, all right? We'll be back after these quick words. Final hour on this Monday morning of June 24th. Coming at you. The final Monday already of June. Can you believe it? Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however, you may be tuning in from, whether it's online, sportstalk1051.com. Got the app, the Sports Talk app, or on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Video streams also up and rolling on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram this morning. Big thanks for tuning in, and a big thanks for hitting us up with some texts or some messages out there. We're going to get back to some more Brewers talk coming up here in just a little bit. I threw out that question. If it's between, you can only keep 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 right now. And I know there's a lot of other factors decided into it and such, but just for argument's sake and banter sake and all that, if you could keep just 2 out of 3, Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick, Blake Perkins. 2 out of the 3. Who are you keeping? Even Hutsy's over there thinking about it. He's got his thinking face on right now. So he's got thumbs up. All right. You know who your picks are? Who are they? Who are they? Oh, you're going to wait? Okay, you just gave me the hold on a second there. We'll get to some of your picks from that, but you can hit me up with your picks by shooting me a quick text or commenting on the video stream over there. All right, so we've got the new matchup, our second matchup of the day for the most underrated Wisconsin athlete of all time. We've got that should be up. Is it just on Twitter? I thought I put it up on Facebook too. Yes, it is on Facebook as well. So we went to the Bucks / open region. Brandon Jennings versus Mo Williams. Brandon Jennings versus Mo Williams. A couple of former Bucks guards over there. In case you're like, who's Mo Williams? Mo Williams was a one-time All-Star back in the day. But during his Bucks career, he spent 4 seasons with the Bucks, averaged 14.1 points per game. Also dished 5.7 assists per game on there too. When he was with the Bucks, got some most improved player awards and such. Cleveland, he was an all-star back in that 08 season, it looks like. So, but Mo Williams, and then of course we know a lot of Bucks fans know Brandon Jennings, Bucks and 6, all that fun stuff there. I feel like Brandon Jennings is going to win this one. When you look at, and we're trying to just, look at his Bucks numbers, but with the Bucks, 16.5 points per game. Got some Rookie of the Year votes when he was with the Bucks in 2009, 2010, over there too, 5.7 assists per game. So I feel like Brandon Jennings is going to win this one, and I feel like it's going to be a comfortable win. But like all of our nominees over here with this bracket challenge, all nominated by you, every single person on here received multiple nominations, and that's why they are on this bracket. So, again, I feel like Brandon's going to win this one, but who knows? Currently, with the Frank Winters and Amon Green one, Amon Green on Facebook is out to a slight lead, and currently on Twitter, he's kind of dominating right now. So, Amon Green is defeating Frank Winters. These polls will be finalized coming up tomorrow. So, Matt had texted in Frelick and Perkins. We had Steve from Eau Claire also saying Frelick and Perkins. Let's see who you got. Frelick and Perkins too? All right. He's going Frelick and Perkins over there too. So if you can only keep 2 out of the 3, is it Frelick or Perkins? Make your picks by hitting us up with those texts or comments on the video stream over there. Brewers back in action tonight, taking on the Texas Rangers as they are back in Milwaukee. Freddie Peralta is going to be on the mound for the Brewers, looking to stack some success here, looking to build upon his previous start, where he looked like vintage Freddie against the Angels. On the opposing mound here, Lorenzen's going to be on the mound for the Texas Rangers. He is 4-3 so far this season with a 3 ERA. looking at Michael Lorenzen's season thus far, he has started 12 games. He's coming off of a no decision against the Mets back on the 18th, where he had 6 innings, 3 earned runs, struck out 3. If we look back at it, I mean, back a couple more games here, back on the 13th against the Dodgers, he had a really solid game, picked up a win going 7 innings against the Dodgers and only given up 1 earned run so far. But in the month of June, he's been pretty good in 4 games that Lorenzen has started. He's 2-0 with a 2.28 ERA. In fact, in May, I mean, he wasn't half bad either. He had 1 hiccup game against Oakland of all teams, but it was back on May 8th where he pitched 6 innings and had 6 earned runs. So even with that, so he pitched, if we go back a little bit here, just to kind of give you a little bit of a scouting report here, he had 5 games, started 5 games in the month of May. He was 0-2 with a 2.87 ERA. That includes a 6-run game on there. You take away that, that's a pretty darn dominant month of May. 1-0-2-1 were his earned runs in those previous games here. So again, is the offense going to be ready? Can the offense take advantage of this? Or are they going to be able to put up some runs, I should say, against Lorenzen? I think he's been pretty solid so far this year. Again, we don't want to look just at win-loss records. Break it down game by game. And when you look at what he's been doing since May 3rd, outside of that 6-run game against Oakland, he's been pretty darn good. Pretty darn solid. So it's going to be a tough test for this Brewers offense going up against the 32-year-old. And we were talking about Freddie Peralta a little bit earlier. By the way, kind of looking at some of these lineups going up against these pitchers. And I know it's American League, National League sort of thing, but Christian Yelich actually has 17 career at-bats going up against Lorenzen. And Christian Yelich hasn't had a ton of success against him. In 17 career at-bats. And a lot of this time because, I mean, some of these Brewers players are familiar with him with his time with Cincinnati when he began his career, 2015 to about 2021. He was with Cincinnati. So, I mean, you got guys like Yelich who are familiar with him. But 17 career at-bats, he's hitting just 118 against him and a 521 OPS. On the flip side here, you do have some Rangers players with a little bit of experience against Peralta, a game's worth of experience. So, I mean, when you look at these numbers, I mean, you're talking about 2, 3, 4 at-bats. So I wouldn't really gauge a whole lot from that. And Hoskins has 6 at-bats going up against Lorenzen, and he's 0 for all across. So, but back to Freddie Peralta here for a hot minute. Freddie Peralta, who's 5-4 in the season, 4.06 ERA, coming off of that game against the Angels, where he picked up a win, 6 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. A lot of you in the first hour texted in, had some thoughts on Freddie Peralta. And a lot of you, I think, if I were just to kind of sum it all up, seems like the majority, a lot of you are still kind of on the fence about Freddie Peralta and what he has done so far this season. To see what he has done so far, or you're still a little bit on the fence of what he has done so far, what he has shown you so far this season. And the word that keeps popping up from a lot of you this morning is inconsistent. And I think, I don't want to put words in everybody's mouth, but I think what maybe has the majority of Brewers fans down a little bit on Freddie Peralta is you don't want your quote-unquote number one starter to be inconsistent or have that label of inconsistency about him. I don't think anybody is necessarily ready to give up on Freddie Peralta, and I hope nobody is given up on Freddie Peralta. But you look at how his season has gone, and I mean, you can see almost in every month he's had that game or maybe a couple games where it was just like, ooh, not great, Bob. To quote the meme or GIF, whatever it is out there. Because you look at April, pretty darn solid, except for one hiccup. Pittsburgh, 5 earned runs, 4 2/3. May, Houston, 5 earned runs. June, 6 earned runs against Cincinnati. And outside of that, it's always kind of been surrounded by, okay, he's got a couple games there where he's given up 3 earned runs, or maybe even a couple games of 1 earned run action on there. So it maybe, if I guess this is, if we look at his game logs for what we've seen so far in the 15 games that he has started this year, where he's had on average about one hiccup, one big hiccup. Already got that out of the way in June, right? That's the positive way of thinking about it. So it's like, all right, so we're going to get a solid start from Freddie Peralta today. Hopefully. Hopefully that's the case. But I think now as we approach halfway through the season, Thursday is going to be for the Brewers, and that's an off day. But after Wednesday night's game, it's going to be 50% of the way through the season. We're at that halfway mark. This is Freddie's final start before that. Start thinking about what would you grade Freddie when we get to that on Thursday, because it's going to be his last start before that. And I think once we get to that second half, I think it's fair to say, and I think Freddie would say the same thing, and I think maybe the Brewers would say the same thing, maybe not publicly, but privately. Okay, can Freddie take another step in the second half? Because if they get to the postseason, Freddie's going to have to be that guy. He's going to have to be a stud in the postseason. He's going to have to take that next step. He's going to have to be ready for that next step. He's going to have to be the leader of that staff, depending on if they make any moves or not. He's got one more level to get to. Yes, he's been an all-star. A couple of years ago, he was an all-star, but I think we're just waiting for him to maybe, just maybe, make one more step to being like, oh yeah, that's the future number one for the next few years. Brewers got him locked up for a couple more years, few more years, but can he take that next one up? And I have no idea what this rotation is going to look like after the trade deadline. I think we're all assuming that the Brewers are going to make some sort of move, some sort of trade, some sort of signing, whatever the case may be. But I think it's still safe to say that Freddie is still going to be viewed as the guy, the number one guy. A couple more texts here before we got to take a quick break about, if when Garrett Mitchell's going to be called up, when he's ready to go, who's the odd man out? Is it Garrett Mitchell? Is it Blake Perkins or Sal Frelick? We're going to assume, this is a pretty safe assumption, Christian Yelich will be there. Jackson Cherry, I know there's some talk about could he be the guy that gets that top. I don't think that's going to be the case. So, and we're not putting Joey Weimer in this equation because he's kind of been, well, we haven't, when was the last time we were talking about Joey Weimer for making some good plays and during games and such? So, of these three, you can keep two. We're going with the under the assumption of 4 outfielders. Frelick, Perkins, Mitchell. And right now, majority of you going with Frelick and Perkins. Make your case. Give me your picks and make your case. All right? Let me know. We'll take a quick break and we'll get back to some more of your texts as we start to round up this first hour. Don't forget, too, weekend hangovers. We still got some time. What was the best? What was the worst? What was the highs? What was the lows from this past weekend? Let me know. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Get on the bus with us as we head over to Minnesota today for a Milwaukee versus Minnesota game, July 21st. Day game Sunday, July 21st, 1:10. Be the first series after the All-Star break here for just $90. Get your game ticket and round trip motor coach transportation to and from the game. It's a quick trip over across the border there. So go to wiscotrips.com or sportstalk1051.com. We got that icon link up there too. Get your tickets now before they are gone because they are going quick. July 21st, Milwaukee taking on Minnesota in Minnesota. Switch it up here because we talked a lot of Brewers baseball and some Bucks here with the draft coming up on Wednesday, and then maybe some talk out there about Brooke Lopez potentially being on the trade block here. So just a really quick detour here to a little football chat here because I don't know if he's making the rounds or anything like that, but Greg Cosell, who is NFL Films producer, analyst, NFL Films, one of the best in my opinion, one of the best in the business, and I know last week he was on Wilde and Tausch, and he said that I think Jordan Love is one of the 3 or 4 most gifted quarterbacks in the league. But he was on the Ross Tucker podcast as well, and he had this to say about a couple of wide receivers. And I want to play this clip again, audio courtesy from the Ross Tucker podcast. Again, that was Greg Cosell, NFL Films, NFL Network, one of the best in the biz in terms of, I think, analyzing and watching film and such. So, I mean, the last few days, he's had some high praise for Jordan Love, but also now with Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, which again, it goes into the narrative with looking for big jumps in year 2, bigger jumps maybe because I mean they had solid rookie years. Jaden Reed led the team in receiving for crying out loud. So I hate to say like bigger jumps. And I know Jaden Reed it was an NFL.com article where they had breakout players and Jaden Reed was on there and I was like, breakout player? I mean, he kind of already broke out, but anyways, I digress. But again, you got more talk about love for Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed here. And it just adds more fuel to that fire that I think is burning within Packers fans of how pumped, how excited they are to see this offense continue to grow and continue to get better. Reed and Wicks have been 2 guys that have been talked about the most. You got Christian Watson, who's also been talked a lot about, operating under the assumption that he's going to stay healthy, that hamstring can last, that he could play double-digit games this year. There's that expectation if he can. I mean, you're talking about a big, fast wide receiver, big play threat over there. You add in Jacobs, obviously, with the offseason. But then, I feel like the one position, though, that we're not really talking a whole lot about and really kind of maybe looking for that year 2 jump is the tight ends. It's been a lot of love with the wide receivers, and rightfully so. And I get it, the excitement because pun intended with love, by the way. But when you talk about quarterback play and such, I mean, you instantly kind of go to okay the pass catchers, and it's usually the wide receivers, right? I mean, more times than not, it's usually the wide receivers. So, and there's been a lot of talk about the receivers this offseason. Do they need a number one? Do they have a number one wide receiver? Who is that number one wide receiver? Who could it be? And this, that, the other thing. And I kind of feel like maybe we're all kind of ignoring the tight ends here. We're kind of ignoring maybe the tight ends here. And I think it's just me, and I get it with the love affair of Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks and Christian Watson. I'm with you there. But let's not overlook what what the tight ends could potentially bring to the table in year 2. Now, I know this probably isn't fair to a Luke Musgrave or Tucker Kraft, okay? But a lot of times rookie tight ends maybe don't make the biggest splashes in their rookie year. They don't make the biggest splashes in their rookie year. It's that year 2. Let me give you 2 tight ends. Let me give you 2 tight ends that really kind of jumped out in their rookie year or in their second year, okay? George Kittle and Rob Gronkowski. Again, it's not fair to compare Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft to either one of those guys. But just kind of looking at how they began their careers. George Kittle, his rookie year in 2017, played in 15 games, started just 7 of those, 515 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. Year 2, started 16 games, over 1,300 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns. Gronkowski, rookie year in 2010, played in all 16 games, started 11. Just 546 receiving yards. Did have 10 receiving touchdowns, though. Year 2, again, all 16 games, started those 16 games, but over 1,300 receiving yards and 17 touchdown catches. And there's other tight ends we can look at, and there's going to be examples of maybe some who don't have that year 2 jump or anything like that, right? I mean, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Travis Kelce is a little bit different. I know everybody's kind of like that because Travis Kelce, if you go back to 2013, his rookie season, he actually got hurt in the preseason, and it was a bone bruise. But he was placed on injured reserve in October of that year, and he only played, 1 snap in that week 2 game. So 2014, he comes back, and that's, year 2, he had over 800 yards receiving there. So, after playing just 1 game in his first year, his rookie year after getting hurt, then you look at year 2. But, all the attention, and I get it, all the attention on these receivers for Green Bay. Dontavian Wicks, Jane Reed looking for, are they going to explode on the scene in year 2? Christian Watson, year 3, is he going to stay healthy? What is Romeo Doubs doing in year 3? Let's not forget about Musgrave and Tucker Kraft either heading into year 2 here. And I hope opposing defenses really kind of hone in on the receivers. If they want to hone in on the receivers and they want to make things difficult on Jaden Reed and Dobbs and Watson and Wicks and such, all right. Musgrave and Kraft, take advantage of it. Those might be 2 guys who benefit the most this year with this offense. When you throw in Jacobs and you throw in some of those youngsters, you heard Greg Cosell say, Jane Reed was Jordan Love's, primary 3rd down target. Would not be surprised if that turns into Musgrave or Kraft this year. Turns into one of those tight ends. If I'm Matt LaFleur and I'm designing this offense, how am I just not becoming mad scientist mode here? Trying to, oh man, I got some tools right now. I've got some stuff to create some unique packages, some unique formations to have some fun with this. Like if I'm Matt LaFleur right now and I've got this, and I'm on my whiteboard here, and I'm trying to come up with some new plays and trying to create some mismatches and all that. How am I just not like grinning ear to ear, knowing what I have right now, knowing that I've got an ascending quarterback, knowing I've got Jacobs behind a bell cow type of back, a bigger back can also get involved in the passing game. I've got two young tight ends that showed some promise last year. And then I've got this receiving core that we've talked to death about right now. How do you not get excited? How do you not like try to be like, ooh, kind of, it's like that Mr. Burns from Simpsons. Remember when he's like holding his hands together and kind of like thinking, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's just um yeah, how do you not get pumped? Right? How do you not get pumped? Oh, I can't wait for this offense though. But don't overlook the tight ends. Don't overlook the tight ends right now. Actually, you know what? Everybody else in the NFL, everybody else overlooked the tight ends. But I'm talking to you Packers fans. Don't necessarily overlook them. Okay. Oh, we got some potential breaking news here when it comes to the Packers. It looks like no big surprise, but this was my pick. This is from Pete Daughtry from PackersNews.com. The Green Bay Packers are naming Ed Policy, the successor to Mark Murphy, as team president and CEO, according to two sources with knowledge of the decision. The announcement of Policy, who will be the 12th president in team history, is expected this morning. He was. I know this is kind of the business side of things, but when this was first announced that Mark Murphy was going to be retiring, he was the guy I thought was going to get it. Ed Policy. He was the guy that I think a lot of Packers fans or a lot of Packers people thought was going to get it. But he has been with the Packers since 2012. Vice President, General Counsel, Chief Operating Officer, General Counsel since 2018. So, I mean, it's promoting from within, but Ed Policy family has been around the NFL for a long time. So, yeah, this isn't too big of a surprise, but this is going to be the new Packers president after Mark Murphy, after 2025, after the draft, essentially. Ed Policy is going to be the new de facto owner, if you will. And when you look at a little bit, if you're not familiar with Ed Policy, you probably recognize the last name because of the 49ers. Okay. You got some 49ers lineage there. But Ed Policy, a little bit of a background on him. With his age, he's probably going to be with the Packers close to about 20 years right now. But he was with the Arena Football League. He was a commissioner over there, president and CEO, and he's got legal experience in litigation, sports labor relations, three-time recipient of the Sports Business Journal's 40 Under 40. This is from the Packers.com over there. But what do we got more here? He also, he was a big part of the Titletown development. He led the club's endeavors to develop Titletown, a 45-acre mixed-use real estate development, blah, blah, blah. We all know that. What else do we got? He also served as an executive consultant with the NFL back in 2009 and 2010. And I'm trying to, okay. So, again, no big surprise over there. All right, let's take a quick break, and we're going to wrap things up. Game 7 tonight, baby. Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7, Edmonton versus Florida. Will we see some history? Will we see the Oilers come back from down 0-3. 0-3 to win the Stanley Cup? Can they complete the comeback? Or will Florida, after jumping out to a 3-0 lead and losing their last three, able to pick up a win in their home crowd, in their home stadium, and secure Lord Stanley's Cup? Who are you picking, all right? Send me your picks right now. Stanley Cup, Game 7. You riding with the Oilers or you riding with the Panthers? All right? Let me know. Okay? We'll take a quick break. And coming up, we'll start to wrap up things. Some picks and predicts. Final call for any weekend hangovers or thoughts on the Brewers, Packers, Bucks, whatever you got. Time for some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. Looking for somewhere to catch some of the action, some of the games, ball games, maybe somewhere to watch Game 7 tonight. Head on over to the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. Grab yourself some Man Cave Light over there. Pull up a stool, watch the game, and chat with all the fine folks over there at the Elbow Room. Again, located right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. Before we pick Game 7 tonight with the Stanley Cup Finals, let's do some baseball picks. We've got the Brewers beginning a series with the Rangers tonight. Got a couple. Twins will be in action tomorrow night as they begin a series with the Diamondbacks. They did win this series against the A's this past weekend. Also, the Express are on the road tonight against Wilmer before returning home. Starting tomorrow too. But let's pick some Major League Baseball games. Cleveland at Baltimore. Ooh, that one could be a good one. Guardians versus the Orioles. Boy, give me Baltimore. I'll ride with Baltimore in this one. Toronto at Boston. Ooh, give me Boston in this one. Atlanta at St. Louis. St. Louis playing well, 7-3 in their last 10. But come on, Atlanta. Got to help us out here. Help out your former team in Milwaukee there. Pick up a win and start to, get a little nervous with how St. Louis is playing right now. Where else should we go before we pick up that Brewers one? Let's go the Cubbies at the Giants. Cubbies at the Giants. Let's do. I hate to say this. I'll go with the Cubs tonight. I'm gonna go with the Cubs tonight. So, all right. What else do we got here? Oh yeah, and then the Brewers. Let's do Texas at Milwaukee. Freddie Peralta has himself a good game tonight. Let's go with the Brewers picking up game 1 of the series in Milwaukee. Milwaukee has been playing really well at home at AmFam Field, so they're back there tonight. They get her done. Let's go with Milwaukee in game 1 tonight. Also, game 7, Edmonton versus Florida. Nothing better in sports than a game 7, especially when it's for all the marbles. Championship game tonight. Who will hoist Lord Stanley's Cup tonight? Florida, who jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Will it be them to get it done in their home crowd, home stadium, home ice? Or will it be Edmonton, who have won the last 3 games in a row? Momentum's on their side. Confidence is on their side. Give me the Oilers to complete the historic comeback, to be down 0-3 and to win their next 4, to win the Stanley Cup, to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. Connor McDavid will will his team to victory tonight, and the Edmonton Oilers will be your Stanley Cup champions. That's my pick for tonight. That was my pick at the beginning of the playoffs. Now that they've forced game 7, I've got no reason not to think that they won't get it done tonight. Momentum is on their side. That environment, man, I would love to know what it feels like to prepare for this game. The whole day right now, for all these players, these coaches, the nerves that's got to be going on right now. I got to imagine they just want to get on the ice right now. They want to play this game right now. The nerves leading up to this, the nerves throughout the game as the clock is ticking down. Maybe you're ahead, maybe you're down by a goal. And as those seconds tick off, those minutes tick off, nerves start to get, boiled up in there. There's going to be nerves before the puck drops. Then once it drops, it probably goes away. But then when you get to the third and final period, if it's close, it'd be really better if this thing goes to OT too. Oh my goodness. I feel like if you're a goalie, the nerves, you don't want to give up a goal in this game. One goal could be the difference. You don't want to give up a single goal in this. Man, I cannot wait for tonight's game. Game 7 between these two. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm riding with Edmonton, though. I'm riding with Edmonton in tonight's game. All right, let's kind of let's recap where some of the voting's going right now for our brackets matchups here. Brandon Jennings is leading against Mo Williams, which I kind of expected. But I will say this. I thought Brandon Jennings, and it could change here, but I thought Brandon Jennings would be dominating the vote right now. Let me bring up what maybe it is on Twitter. But yeah, Brandon's kind of dominating on Twitter right now. Facebook's a little bit closer, but Brandon Jennings is out to an early lead over Mo Williams. The one we did earlier, Amon Green is out to a comfortable lead on the Twitter poll, but on Facebook, Amon Green has a slight lead. So if you want to vote on the latest matchups here between Amon Green and Frank Winters or Mo Williams and Brandon Jennings on who is the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time, make sure you're following along on the Facebook and Twitter pages over there and get your votes in. Majority of you also, we've kind of threw out a few different questions for some conversation purposes this morning. Majority of you saying yes, you think the Bucks should trade Brook Lopez. According to Yahoo Sports and others, there's been some rumblings about the Bucks potentially looking for some trade partners to move on from Brook Lopez, which I don't think should surprise too many people out there. I mean, I think you look at what happened in that Pacers series. Bucks probably thinking to look, or probably thinking about getting a little bit younger, but also maybe a little bit more versatile in the defensive end. Brook is a great rim protector. I think he's still one of the best rim protectors in the league. But Indiana, I think, exposed some of his defensive flaws by stretching it out, playing a little bit more on the perimeter. And if you bring Brook Lopez away from the hoop, away from the basket, that's a weakness on his part. Can't play defense out there, can drive by him. So I think it's probably no big surprise that maybe the Bucks are looking to get a little bit more versatile from their big man. So, what the NBA draft is coming up Wednesday. It's coming up Wednesday. First round. Then remember, they're doing it 2 days. They're doing it 2 days this year. Second round will be on Thursday over there. We'll see. Bucks holding the 23rd overall pick and the 33rd overall pick. Maybe one of those centers could be there for the Bucks, but I don't know how to gauge this NBA draft. I really don't. It's just there's a bunch of players. Let's be real. A lot of us haven't heard about whether it's G League or whether it's international players. And this draft isn't, according to the experts, isn't full of a ton of talent. So we'll see what the Bucks do with their 2 picks, though. Could it be a trade package? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. But first round coming up on Wednesday there. The other kind of question we threw out there for the Brewers was Perkins, Freelick, or Garrett Mitchell. When they're going to call him up, if they do call him up, if you can only pick 2 out of those 3, we're assuming Cheerio's safe, Yelich is safe. We're not even putting Joey Weimer in this conversation. But if you had to pick 2 out of the 3 between Perkins, Freelick, and Garrett Mitchell, who would the 2 out of 3 be? And why majority going with Freelick and Perkins? Now, this could be another conversation for another day, but would that be where you'd be willing to trade Garrett Mitchell, move on from him, and maybe get something in return? A lot of you saying Garrett Mitchell can't stay healthy. I know it's still young in his career, but he has been banged up with some injuries. You look at last year, this year, spring training and such. Kind of some unfortunate, unlucky injuries out there. But nonetheless, hasn't been able to stay healthy in the early part of his career. So, but a wide majority going with Perkins and Freelick. So, we shall see with the trade deadline just a little over a month away now. A little over a month away, and especially with Carlos Rodriguez probably not. Maybe he'll get another start. Jacob Junis is back, though. Will they put him back in that starting rotation, or are they still going to want to build him up coming out of the pen? We shall see. We shall see. We mentioned a little bit earlier, it was reported the Packers now officially making it official. Ed Policy has been named the next Packers chairman, president, and CEO. Mark Murphy will continue leading the organization until July of 2025. So next July, that's when the mandatory retirements comes into play. But Ed Policy will be the next Packers president and CEO, de facto owner, and such. Ed Policy, who has been with the Packers, 13th year overall with the organization, 7th as chief operating officer, was elected by the Packers board of directors. It was a unanimous vote. Unanimous vote, it looks like. Mark Murphy saying in a statement, congratulations to Ed on this well deserved promotion to what I believe is the most unique and meaningful position in the world of professional sports. Ed has been a tremendous asset to the organization during his 12 years here and has been gratefully instrumental in our success. His work on Titletown has been particularly impactful. He is highly respected both in the building and within the NFL. I've enjoyed working with him, and I am confident he will be an excellent steward for the organization. In the coming year, he and I will continue to work closely together to ensure a smooth transition for our employees, players, and fans. I'd say, and I am incredibly honored, excited, and grateful to the search committee, the board, the shareholders, and the entire organization for this treasured and one of a kind opportunity. Particularly grateful to Mark for 12 years of mentorship. I am looking forward to building on his leadership and considerable success on and off the field. This is the absolute best job in sports. We are the stewards of the most iconic and unique organization in all of professional sports. I am excited to continue to work with so many talented teammates who have ensured the Packers' consistent success on and off the field. We are the people's team, and I love being a part of it. So there's more. You can check it out at Packers.com if you want to read all their statements and get a little bit of a background on Ed Policy. So, what else? Yeah, there we go. Time's running out anyway, so shot clock's going to cut me off in 30 seconds. But it was a move that I thought Ed Policy was the favorite. I thought he was the favorite. A lot of people thought he was the favorite. So maybe not the biggest surprise that he's getting promoted, but nonetheless, it's a big move. It's a big move. You're getting a change in overall leadership for the Packers. You're de facto owner, if you will. How much stuff will change? Will anything change? That remains to be seen. We'll see. And we got another year for that to even happen, to begin. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. DP and the Danettes are up next. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow morning, starting at 6 a.m. Talk to you then.